Embarked on a heartwarming journey with my daughter-in-law, a shocking call revealed amazing truths. Mary sat at her kitchen table, crafting the last few batch of cookies for the bake sale. The storm outside raged like a wounded animal, winds howling through the gaps in the old farmhouse. As the scent of butter and sugar enveloped the room, her 10-year-old daughter Ellie giggled in the next room, her laughter a bright thread of joy in the evolving storm. But all was not well in Mary's heart. Memories of the man she had vowed to forget loomed like dark clouds. Just then, the shrill ring of the phone sliced through her thoughts, making her jump. With a heavy heart, she picked it up, and the voice on the other end hit her like a bolt of lightning. It was her father, his once grand voice now frail and filled with pain. "Mary, the first am sick. I need your help." A jarring mix of emotions surged through her. How could he, the man who vanished from her life, think she would just drop everything? Yet, the familiar ache of longing began to resurface. She thought of all the times she'd wished for a father who could attend school plays or cheer Ellie from the sidelines. It had always been just her and Ellie, and she'd built her world around that. "Mom?" Ellie peeked into the kitchen, eyes wide, sensing the tension radiating off her mother. Mary swallowed hard, steeling herself against the ghosts of her past. "It's nothing, sweetheart." But Ellie could see through her mother's brave facade. Mary turned back to the storm-battered landscape outside, her mind a whirlwind. The fields were struggling, and so was her heart. Should she break down the walls of resentment? Yet there was Ellie, her bright little star. Did she want to expose her daughter to a man who could hurt them again? Just when despair threatened to overwhelm her, Lisa, her sister-in-law, breezed through the door. With her vibrant spirit, she seemed to light up the space. "You okay, Mary?" she asked, sensing the heavy atmosphere. "You wouldn't believe who just called," Mary mumbled, unable to meet Lisa's gaze. "Oh honey, it's not too late to mend things." "Don't let fear hold you back," Lisa urged, embodying the unwavering loyalty that had stitched together their family. There was something in her voice, an invitation to heal that Mary didn't know she needed. The town soon rallied around her. Neighbors dropped off casseroles and volunteered to watch the farm so she could think things through. The bake sale turned into a full-blown community event. It warmed her heart to realize they cared, piercing through the isolation that often surrounded her. They believed in her. Then, as hope began to blossom in her soul, the storm intensified. Thunder cracked like a whip. The winds howled like a pack of wolves, and rain pelted against the windows. Mary felt panic bubble up inside her. She glanced at Ellie playing with her toys, blissfully unaware, and felt a knot tighten in her stomach. Mary faced an unimaginable decision. Should she rush to her father's side, risking losing everything she had built for Ellie? Or stay, grounded in the love and stability she had fought so hard to create? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The winds thrashed violently outside, matching the storm brewing within her. Each crack of thunder mirrored the conflicting desires in her chest. The moment weighed heavy, she could feel time slipping away as the storm drenched her hopes. Should forgiveness reign supreme, or would she wear the scars of her childhood like armor forever? As the first cracks of thunder echoed throughout the valley, Mary stood at the precipice of a life-changing decision. Would she finally reach for the chance to rediscover the bond of family or hold tight to the hurt that had defined her? With love and uncertainty intertwined, one truth remained clear: the path ahead was as tangled as the tempest outside, and only she could choose which way to go. The silence that followed the storm's fury felt almost louder than the chaos outside. Mary stood rooted in her kitchen, staring at the batter of cookies that had momentarily lost its sweetness. Ellie's laughter was now but a soft echo in her mind, drowned by the raindrops hammering the roof. The weight of her father's call hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. She could hear Lisa's voice replaying in her thoughts, urging her to take the leap, to confront her past. But the memories flooded in like the very rain that beat against her windows, memories of a life filled with promises unkept. Trust had been a delicate thing, built from love and hope, only to be shattered like glass underfoot. And now, with Ellie's innocence hanging in the balance, could she really risk it all? "Mom?" Ellie peeked around the corner, concern etched on her young face. "Are you okay?" Mary turned toward her daughter, her heart breaking a little more. Ellie deserved a mother who wasn't tangled up in past burdens, a mother who could be fully present and happy. Yet, here she was, standing at a crossroads she never asked for. "Yeah, sweetheart. Just thinking a bit," Mary replied, forcing a smile that felt like it was painted on. She walked over and knelt to her daughter's level, embracing her in an effort to dispel the gloom. Ellie's warmth wrapped around her, a physical reminder of the love that anchored her. "Can we make cupcakes tomorrow? For the bake sale? Please?" Ellie's eyes sparkled with excitement, her voice lifting Mary's spirits slightly. Mary nodded, even though her mind wandered back to the tempest outside. "Of course, we can." But the smile faded as the thought of her father seeped back in. He needed her. Her heart tugged again, torn by guilt and the desire to protect Ellie. The images of her childhood, a father who disappeared without a trace, leaving only silence and scars, haunted her resolve. As night fell, Mary paced the living room, the storm outside roaring on. She thought about the vulnerability it took to forgive. Was it possible to open that door again, knowing what lay on the other side? Or was she just setting herself up for heartbreak? Before she could settle on an answer, the house filled with a sudden flash, illuminating the room and turning shadows into specters. In that unsettling moment, she resolved to call her father back, not because she trusted him, but because she needed clarity on her own feelings. A wave of determination washed over her. If she was going to move forward, she owed it to herself to confront the past. The phone lit up in her hand as she dialed, each tone echoing her escalating heartbeat. Was she ready for this? What would she even say? "Come on, pick up," she breathed, the sound of the ringing fitting perfectly with the rolling thunder in the distance. And finally, there he was. "Mary?" His voice cracked like old wood, sounding both familiar and foreign. Every emotion she had bottled up flooded her, but as she opened her mouth to speak, the storm outside reached a tumultuous peak. As she hesitated, the words tangling in a web of uncertainty. In the midst of the chaos, would the words flow or would they falter? Her heart pounded as she felt the weight of her voice in that moment, hanging precariously in the balance. The choice was about to unfold, destiny teetering on the edge. What would happen next could change everything. "Mary, is everything okay?" He sounded anxious, and she realized she had to unearth the courage buried deep within. And suddenly, she knew that the real journey was just beginning. "Mary, is everything okay?" His anxious voice pulled her back from the fraying edges of her thoughts. For a moment, she was lost, teetering between the desire to lash out and the urge to simply hide. She drew in a breath, her heart racing. "No," she finally managed, her voice coming out softer than intended, almost as if she wanted to spare both of them the confrontation. "No, everything isn't okay." The silence that followed was thick, the storm outside a mere whisper compared to the thunder of her emotions. She could hear the distant rumble of conflict in the air, feel the weight of memories pushing against her, challenging her to unravel them. "Why did you call, Mary?" he asked, his tone shifting from anxiety to something more defensive. This wasn't the reunion or the apology she had imagined all those years. She wished for a moment she could take back the call, retreat to the safety of half-formed thoughts and unspoken words. I need to talk about everything." Her grip tightened around the phone, the plastic pressing against her palm as if it threatened to slip away. About you, about us, about how you just left. He sighed on the other end, a sound so familiar yet distant that it cut her deeper than any accusation she could voice. I know you have questions. I questions? She interrupted, her voice cracking with a mix of anger and hurt. You think it's just questions? It's been a lifetime of silence. A lifetime of you walking away when things got hard. Mary's words hung in the air between them, feeling like arrows shot through the dark space of years. The silence on the line was deafening, and in that pause, the weight of her emotions seemed to push against her chest. Mary, he finally said, tone steady yet laced with remorse. I know I messed up. I can't change that, but I want to try and explain. If you'll let me. Mary's heart flickered with a mix of vulnerability and defiance. Could she truly let him explain? Was there any justification for the pain he had caused? She could feel Ellie's small hands in her mind, gentle and sweet, the embodiment of everything that mattered. What would she teach Ellie about forgiveness if she couldn't even face her own past? Just tell me why, she whispered, the storm outside reflecting the tempest within. Why did you leave us? Another pause, sharper this time. I thought I was protecting you. From myself. From the disappointment I felt every day. His voice cracked under the weight of his confession. Disappointment? Did that ever excuse abandonment? Tears of frustration filled her eyes. You could have called. You could have tried. He sighed again, the weariness plain. I should have. I didn't realize how much I was hurting you until it was too late. I just thought you'd be better off without me. Mary felt a rush of anger surge through her veins. Better off? No. They had both carried that bruised silence far too long. But that anger tangled itself with something deeper, the long-buried yearning for connection, the hope that maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of a path towards healing. Is it too late? She asked softly, her voice trembling. The question lingered, heavy with possibility. Would they find a way back to each other, or was this just another chapter of disappointment? Before he could respond, Ellie's small voice floated in from the hallway, breaking the tension that hung in the air. Mom, can I have some cookies now? Mary's heart fluttered at the sound. She glanced toward her daughter, illuminated by the dim kitchen light, unaware of the storm brewing in her mother's heart. Just a minute, Ellie. Mary called, her resolve hardening. I need to finish this call. Mary? Her father's voice cut back in. Please. Let us try to understand each other. I'm here now. She wanted so desperately to believe that, yet the path ahead felt like a vast unknown. Could she really open the door to forgiveness? The doubts loomed, but so did the glimmer of hope. The storm outside had begun to wane, and at that moment, choice coursed through her veins like electricity. I want to understand, too, she said. Taking a deep breath. Let us see where this goes. As she spoke the words, she felt a strange weight lift, as if the storm within her had finally found its release. But would admission lead to a new beginning, or plunge her deeper into heartache? Mary felt the tension crackling in the air, the weight of words unspoken. She could almost see the weight of her father's regret settling over him like a heavy blanket. What did it mean to move forward with someone who had caused her so much pain? Can you really be here for me? She asked, the whisper barely escaping her lips. What if you leave again? I want tea, he pleaded, desperation lining his words. I promise, Mary. I've been working on myself. I want to be part of your life, your world, Ellie's world. If you'll let me. She closed her eyes, imagining the life she once envisioned with her dad by her side, family dinners, holiday traditions, a steady presence. It felt so far away, almost like a fairy tale. Yet, in that moment, reality weighed heavy on her heart. You say that now, but the past is a hard thing to forget, she replied, her voice shaking. How do I know this isn't just another empty promise? Because I'm here, he insisted, urgency creeping into his tone. I left without saying goodbye. I didn't give you a choice to stand by me, and I understand if you're angry. Just let me show you I'll fight for you both. I want to earn your trust. Mary bit her lip, holding back the swell of emotion that threatened to overflow. Just like that? She challenged. Years of silence erased with words? It's a start, he replied softly. Just give me that chance. Let me attempt to earn back what was lost. Her mind flashed back to the days filled with longing, searching for someone who was there but unreachable. So many birthdays, so many milestones. And now, with Ellie growing up, the echoes of those lost moments echoed even louder. Okay, she said finally, each syllable filled with hesitation. We can try. But it won't be easy. I have to know that you understand the stakes here, that you see Ellie, the beautiful little girl you've missed all these years. I want to meet her, he said, the eagerness clear in his voice. I want to be part of both your lives. Her heart ached as she thought of Ellie, with her wide eyes and constant laughter. What would she think of her grandfather after all this time? Would he be a stranger to her, the man who only lived in stories? Promise me that you won't run away. That you'll face the hard stuff with us, Mary said, urgency creeping in. I promise, he replied solemnly. I won't let you down again. As they spoke, the kitchen filled with the comforting scent of cookies, and the sound of Ellie shuffling her feet excitedly echoed through the hall. Mary took a deep breath, a swell of hope mingling with fear. I need to think about how to tell Ellie, she said, gripping the phone tighter. This isn't just about us anymore, it's about her too. Of course. I understand, he said, his voice warm and understanding. Take your time. There's no rush. Mary felt a flicker of warmth behind the apprehension. Could this truly be a turning point? As she glanced toward the hallway, she could almost see Ellie's eager little face peeking around the corner, full of innocent questioning. Okay, she said finally, her heart racing with the weight of the decision. Let us give this a chance, let us try to be a family. But before she could process it all, her phone buzzed with the incoming alert of a video call. Mary's breath caught in her throat. What would happen when Ellie saw her grandfather? Would she embrace him or shrink back in uncertainty? The fear of Ellie's reaction mixed with anticipation gripped Mary. Dad, I have to go. Ellie's here. Wait, Mary, he said quickly. Can we talk more about how you want? I'll see you later, she interrupted, her pulse racing, and ended the call. Mary's heart pounded as she turned toward the doorway, ready to face Ellie, who could sense the change in the air. Mom, are you okay? Ellie asked, her face filled with concern and love. Mary swallowed hard. Could she really explain about her father? Would her daughter understand the complexities of their relationship? She opened her mouth, feeling the words behind her teeth, unsure of how to begin. Let us sit down and talk about something important, and as she spoke, a new chapter began. Would this be the moment that bridged the gap between generations, or another story filled with longing? Mary took a deep breath, her pulse quickening as she settled next to Ellie on the couch. The afternoon light streamed through the window, casting a soft glow around them. The warmth felt good, but it was nothing compared to the chill creeping up her spine as the enormity of her words pressed heavily against her chest. Sweetheart, she started, her voice trembling slightly, there's something important I need to share with you. Ellie's eyes widened, curiosity bubbling just beneath her calm surface. Is it about school? Did I get in trouble? She leaned in closer, her small hands clasped together in anticipation. No, it's nothing like that. Mary chuckled lightly, trying to ease the tension. It's about something, or rather, someone. Someone you've never met. Who? Ellie asked, tilting her head. The questions in her little mind danced around, filling the air with innocence and excitement. It's your grandfather, my dad. He wants to be part of our lives now. The room fell silent, and the clock on the wall ticked loudly in the absence of sound. Ellie's expression transformed, confusion mixed with a touch of wonder. My grandfather? I thought he didn't want to be here. Mary's throat tightened, the painful memories clawing at her heart. He left a long time ago. I didn't know how to tell you. But he's trying to come back now, and he wants to meet you. Ellie's brow furrowed, processing the information at lightning speed. But why didn't you ever talk about him before? What if he leaves again? Those are good questions, baby. He left a long time ago, before you were born, and I swore I wouldn't let my heart get broken again. But things have changed. I hope he's serious about wanting to be part of our lives this time. Ellie stared at her mother, her young mind churning through the implications. Can we trust him? She asked, so earnestly that it made Mary's heart ache. I don't know, Mary admitted. But I want to give him a chance, and I hope you'll be okay with that too. You're my first priority, Ellie. You know that, right? Do I have to meet him? Ellie's voice was barely above a whisper, the concern in her eyes unmistakable. Mary opened her arms, drawing Ellie in for a comforting hug. I think it would be good for you. It'll take time and he might be a little awkward at first, but you're so kind, and I believe you can handle it. I guess. But what if he's not nice? Mary's heart sunk. This was the reality she feared most. If he's not nice, then we'll deal with it together. You're stronger than you think, Ellie. Ellie pulled back, her bright eyes locking onto her mother's. Okay, Mom. I trust you. But I want us to be together when we meet him. Mary smiled, tears prickling at the corners of her eyes, a bittersweet mixture of pride and fear filling her heart. Of course. We'll do it together. Just then, the doorbell rang, slicing through the tension like a knife. Mary's breath caught, panic flooding her senses. Was this the moment? Was her father right on the other side? Stay here, Mary instructed Ellie quietly as she approached the door, her heart thundering in her chest. As she opened the door, her father stood there with hesitant hope shining in his eyes, a bouquet of flowers clasped tightly in his hands. The air grew thick with unspoken words as Mary crossed the threshold between her past and what was about to become her future. Dad, she breathed, unsure of what to say next. Ellie peeked from behind Mary's leg, her curiosity now mixed with nerves. Hi, Ellie, he said softly, his eyes softening as he took in the little girl. I'm your grandfather. This was it. The moment Mary had both dreaded and longed for. Would this encounter build a bridge, or create an unbridgeable chasm? Heart racing, Mary stepped back, giving Ellie space at the forefront. She whispered to herself, let us see how this goes, and in that moment of uncertainty, everything hung in the balance. What would Ellie choose to do next? Ellie's small fingers tightened around the sleeve of Mary's shirt as she stepped fully into view. The tension was palpable, wrapping around the three of them like a thick fog. Mary's heart felt heavy yet hopeful, teetering on the brink of something new and bittersweet. Hi, Ellie managed, her voice soft and hesitant. She took a cautious step forward, eyes wide, scrutinizing the man who stood before them, his gray hair, the deep lines etched into his face, each one a story of its own. Hi, Ellie, he repeated, his smile genuine yet nervous. He held out the bouquet, the bright flowers contrasting sharply against the grayness of his demeanor. These are for you. I thought you might like them. Ellie glanced at Mary, seeking reassurance, and Mary nodded encouragingly. Thank you, Ellie said softly, reaching for the flowers. She gingerly accepted them, careful not to squeeze too tightly. As she inhaled their sweet scent, her expression shifted from uncertainty to surprise. They smell nice, she murmured, her small face lighting up a bit. Just like you, he replied, the warmth of his words breaking through the heavy atmosphere. But then he faltered, eyes dropping to the floor. I know I haven't been there, and that must be been really hard for you both. I'm sorry. Mary's heart twisted. She'd spent years trying to mask the pain his absence had caused. She wrapped an arm around Ellie, as if to shield them both. It's been complicated. I understand, he said, finally meeting her gaze. I can't change the past, Mary. But I can try to be a better father and grandfather now. I want to make things right. The sincerity in his voice wavered between hope and desperation, and Mary's breath caught. She wished she could believe him. A glimmer of memory flared in her mind, his promises of the past that had shattered like glass. Why now? She pressed. Why should we trust you after everything? His shoulders sagged, a shadow passing over his face. Because I've realized I was wrong. I was scared and so selfish. But losing you both taught me that family is everything. I want a chance to know Ellie, to be there for you both. Mary could feel Ellie's curiosity bubbling beneath the surface, mixed with worry. She glanced down at her daughter, whose eyes were wide, taking in every word like a sponge. What if he messes up again, Mom? Ellie's voice, though small, had an edge of wisdom that belied her youth. Mary's heart swelled with pride. We'll deal with it together, remember? Yeah, together. Ellie nodded, as if resolving the unspoken challenge before them. Taking a deep breath, Mary turned back to her father. If we're going to do this, it has to start with honesty. You can't pull away again. This isn't just about you anymore. He nodded slowly, sincerity reflected in his every feature. I promise, Mary. I'll be here for both of you. I want to leave again. The air buzzed with hope but also tension, the weight of the moment not to be underestimated. Ellie, still holding the flowers, stepped closer to her grandfather. Can you tell me a story about Mom when she was little? Surprise flashed in his eyes, and then he smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. I have a million stories, Ellie. Did you know she was a little daredevil? Really? Ellie's smile began to blossom, the tension dissipating like fog in the morning sun. As he began to recount tales of Mary's childhood adventures of climbing trees and running wild, Mary felt hope. Maybe this could work. Yet, deep down, a whisper of doubt loomed. Could this really be a new beginning? Just as laughter filled the room, Mary caught Ellie's eye, and they exchanged a knowing glance. The path ahead was uncertain, but they were taking their first steps together into this fragile new reality. Mary's heart warmed, but the question still lingered. Would their future be filled with laughter, or would it hold the shadows of pain once more? Ellie's giggles danced around the room as her grandfather animatedly painted a picture of Mary's wild childhood. He talked about the time she climbed the tallest tree in the neighborhood, popped right out of it to land in a pile of leaves. Mary couldn't help but smile despite herself, reminiscing about the mischief that seemed like a lifetime ago. I'm going to be an astronaut. He mimicked, voice high and playful, which sent Ellie into a fit of laughter. That was your mom, she thought she could fly. As they shared these moments, the world outside seemed to fade, leaving only the warmth of family gathering in the living room. Yet Mary's heart beat wildly. The stories were a gateway, a small sliver of trust beginning to crack open her defenses, but the whispers of doubt crept on the edges of her mind, warning her of what could go wrong. Can we go to the park tomorrow? Ellie asked, her eyes sparkling like sunbeams. The prospect of being outdoors, being active, brought a joy to Ellie Mary hadn't seen in a long time. Can Grandpa come too? Mary bit her lip. Let us think about that. Maybe just one of us first? She suggested, unsure of this still fragile arrangement. She sensed her father's eagerness, saw how his eyes turned hopeful. But for Mary, it wasn't that easy. This wasn't just a weekend outing. For Mary, every outing meant potential for disappointment, falling into old habits, repeating history. I promised to be there, he said softly, reading the unspoken worry on her face. I just want to know both of you. I'm here now. I want to mess it up. His words were soothing balm, but could they mend the wounds of years lost? She wanted to believe him, she really did. But what if this was just another promise that would shatter? Can we think about it? Mary replied, carefully measuring her words. We have to take it slow. Ellie nodded but looked a little crushed. Okay, she said, her voice deflated. But I want to show you both my favorite tree. The one with the swing. Mary saw the way her father looked at Ellie, a mixture of admiration and a flicker of guilt for lost time. It reminded her that this was more than a complex web of their relationship, it was truly about Ellie now. Let us see how tomorrow goes, Mary suggested, allowing a hint of optimism to bloom in her chest. We'll make it a little adventure together. Ellie's face brightened again, the shadow of disappointment lifting. Yay! Adventure. As laughter resumed, Mary's heart couldn't help but flutter. Maybe this was the start of something good, something real. But deep down, as the evening wore on and stories turned to quiet moments, she could feel the weight of uncertainty pressing deep, reminding her that change, no matter how hopeful, was often entwined with anxiety. Later that night, as Mary tucked Ellie into bed, the little girl's face glowed with dreams of tree swings and endless laughter. Mary brushed her daughter's hair back and kissed her forehead. Sleep tight, sweetheart. Good night, Mom. Ellie replied, her voice laced with excitement. As Mary stepped out of the room, the smile on her face faded. Could she really let herself hope for a future filled with laughter and love, or was she setting them all up for heartbreak? The question gnawed at her as she sat on the edge of her bed. She wished for assurance, a sign that she was making the right choices for Ellie. It felt like she was stepping onto a tightrope with no net beneath. And just then, her phone buzzed, interrupting her spiraling thoughts. She glanced down to see a message from her father. I'm willing to do this, Mary. I hope you can believe in me. But was that enough? As Mary stared at the screen, she felt her heart race. Maybe this was just the beginning. Maybe tomorrow would reveal more than just a trip to the park, it could unveil deeper truths. Could trust be rebuilt, or would the shadows of the past overwhelm them yet again? Morning light spilled through the curtains, painting golden stripes on the floor. Mary woke to the sound of Ellie's excited footsteps running down the hallway. The young girl's unfiltered enthusiasm for the day ahead invigorated Mary, but a tension snaked around her stomach. She pulled on her favorite sweater, the one that felt like a hug, wishing for the courage to face this new day. Mom. Are you ready? Ellie's voice burst through the door as she peeked in, her smile bright. I'm coming, sweetheart, Mary called back, smiling despite the knot in her chest. Today was important, today could mark a new chapter for them all. She found herself glancing at her phone again, half hoping to see a new message from her father. Nothing yet. She tried to shake off the rising anxiety, knowing today was not just a day of fun, it was a test. At breakfast, Ellie chattered on about her adventures with the swing, her imagination painting grand pictures of soaring through the sky. Mary listened attentively, her heart swelling with pride. This was the child she had raised, filled with dreams, and for her, it was worth every moment of uncertainty with her dad. Can we pick Grandpa up first? Ellie asked between mouthfuls of toast. Mary hesitated. Let us just see how things go. She could feel her own doubt creeping in as Ellie's eyes dimmed. But hey, if it feels right, we can definitely invite him along. Promise? Ellie asked, her eyes wide, already imagining all the fun they would share. Promise, Mary replied, and though she forced the word out, deep inside a tiny flicker of hope began to glow. They packed a small picnic basket with sandwiches, fruit, and Ellie's favorite juice. As they walked to the car, Mary couldn't shake the heaviness in her heart. What if this outing wasn't just a simple trip? What if everything fell apart? Driving to her father's house, she caught Ellie admiring the scenery, the trees casting playful shadows over the road. Her daughter's joy was infectious, making Mary feel lighter, though the weight of her own fears remained. When they arrived, Her father was already waiting on the porch. He had a warm smile, a little hesitant yet unmistakably genuine. Mary's heart raced as she stepped out of the car, Ellie's hand firmly in hers. "Hey, Dad," she managed, trying to keep her voice steady. "Hey, Mary," he responded, his eyes dropping to Ellie, who was bouncing on her toes, barely able to contain her excitement. "You must be Ellie. I've heard so much about you." "Grandpa. Can we go to the park?" Ellie's energy radiated like a beacon. Mary stifled a laugh at her daughter's exuberance but felt something shift inside her. Could her father really step up? Could he really be the grandparent Ellie needed? "Of course," he replied, and there was a sincerity in his tone that eased her apprehension just a little. As they drove to the park, Mary felt a mix of nostalgia and nervousness. The sun felt brighter, the world outside buzzing with life. She watched as her father guided Ellie in conversation, making her giggle with stories about his own childhood. Arriving at the park was like stepping into a new world. The vibrant colors of the playground invited them in. Ellie dashed towards the swings, her laughter mingling with the sounds of other children. Mary's father watched her with a soft gaze. "You're doing great, Mary," he said quietly. "I mean it." For a moment, Mary's heart swelled with gratitude, but it was quickly followed by a shadow of doubt. How could she be sure he wouldn't disappear again? As Ellie swung back and forth, a childlike joy illuminating her face, Mary felt a tremor of happiness mixed with fear of the fragile truth they were in. Was she allowing herself to hope too much, or could they really recreate what had been lost? "Can we push her?" her father asked, his enthusiasm genuine, sparkling in his eyes. Mary nodded before she could second-guess herself. Here was a moment, and they could either nurture it or let it slip away. Just as they took their places at the swings, Mary's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out and saw a message from her mother: "We need to talk. It's important." Her heart raced. What could that be about? The warmth of the moment with Ellie and her father suddenly shifted, leaving a cold knot of uncertainty again. Mary glanced at her father, whose eyes were happily locked on Ellie. Could the past, no matter how painful, be set aside just for this precious moment? And once in motion, could any of them really turn back? As laughter echoed around her, she held her phone tightly, wondering how the conversation with her mother would change everything. A tension brewed within her. What if today was just the calm before the storm? Mary stared at her phone for a moment, the world around her fading slightly into the background. Her heart thudded in her chest, anxiety swirling inside her like a storm. She looked up to see Ellie on the swings, her laughter ringing like music, and her father pushing her gently, clearly enjoying the moment. It should have felt perfect, yet the weight of the message loomed dark over her. "Mary?" Her father's voice broke through, pulling her out of her thoughts. "Are you okay? You seem distant." His brow furrowed with concern, a look Mary hadn't seen in years. "Yeah, sorry." She tucked her phone away, forcing a smile. "Just got a message from Mom. You know how she is." Her father nodded, but she could see the unease in his eyes. "Is everything all right?" Mary hesitated. Should she share her worries? Would that ruin the moment? But a part of her craved the honesty, the connection she had lost with him over all these years. "She just wants to talk about us, I guess." "Us?" he echoed, and there was a trace of confusion mixed with unease in his voice. What could she possibly want? "I'm not sure," she replied softly, unable to shake the knot in her stomach. "I think it's about how things have been between us. You know, the past." Her father took a breath, his cheeks tightening as if he wanted to say something but couldn't quite find the right words. "Mary, it's okay, Dad. We don't have to talk about it right now." She forced a laugh, trying to ease the tension. "I mean, cue the celebration. We're at the park, right?" Ellie's laughter pierced through the air again, reminding Mary why they were here. She turned to watch her daughter swing higher and higher, her little legs kicking out with a force that made Mary's spirit lift. A glimmer of pride ignited within her. Ellie was carefree, alive, and full of hope. "Hey, Ellie," Mary called. "Are you having fun?" "Best day ever," Ellie shouted back, her joy infectious. The sun glinted off her golden curls, and for a split second, Mary allowed herself to forget the message and focus on the moment. But when her phone buzzed again in her pocket, she felt the momentary bliss slip like sand through her fingers. With an anxious glance at her father, she pulled it out once more. It was another message this time, a photo from her mother, a snapshot of their family from years ago. Her mother, and her father, all smiles and laughter. A gust of nostalgia swept through her, but it was tainted by the bitterness of what had come after. She could almost hear her mother's voice echoing in her mind, urging her to talk, to confront what had been left unsaid for far too long. "Mary," her father began, his voice softer now. "Are you sure we can't?" She shook her head, cutting him off. "Let us just focus on Ellie for now." He nodded slowly, though the weight of their unspoken words hung heavily between them. She watched her daughter's joyful antics, half hopeful, half fearful that this playful day wouldn't unravel into deeper discussions. Suddenly, Ellie called out to them, "Hey! Want to see how high I can go?" Her eyes sparkled with mischief. Mary smiled, reminded of her own childhood, of the carefree summer days spent playing. "Sure. Just be careful." As Ellie swung higher, Mary felt herself torn between the joy of the present and the shadows of the past. Would her father really change? Was her mother's message an omen, or an opportunity to mend what was broken? Finally, after what felt like an eternity of swinging and laughter, Mary crouched down next to Ellie, gripping the edges of the swing set. "Ellie, how about we have a small picnic now?" "Yes," Ellie cheered, leaping off the swing. "I'll get the juice." As Mary watched her daughter dart away, her father leaned close. "You running away from the conversation won't help, Mary. When you're ready." The gentle reminder slipped between them, filled with compassion. But Mary clamped down on the wave of uncertainty threatening to spill over. "Let us just enjoy today first," she replied, her smile faltering a bit. But in the pit of her stomach, she sensed an impending shift. A moment when everything could change. Differences might be confronted, bridges might be rebuilt, or everything might come crashing down again. Just then, a small hush enveloped the park, and Mary's heart raced anew as she looked at her father, who was now focused on something beyond the swings. "Look!" he exclaimed, pointing toward the horizon. A small flock of geese glided through the sky, their perfect formations stirring a rush of nostalgia. And as the shadow of the conversation loomed back over their heads, Mary realized the message wasn't the only significant change approaching. Could today lead them all to a new understanding? What awaited her on this path seemed both terrifying and exciting at once. With that thought echoing in her mind, she knew one thing: the storm was just beginning. Mary gazed at the horizon, the flock of geese a temporary distraction from the turbulence inside her. They moved like a well-rehearsed ballet, a symbol of unity, of family, something she longed for yet feared. Laughter echoed nearby as Ellie appeared, juice boxes clutched triumphantly, blissfully unaware of the whirlpool of emotions swirling just beneath the surface. Setting out the picnic blanket, she watched Ellie skip around, her excitement lighting up the park more than the sun ever could. It was contagious, and for a moment, Mary let herself bask in the warmth of motherhood, pushing aside the fears cluttering her mind. "Okay, my lovely picnic planner," she said, sitting down next to Ellie and reaching for the juice boxes. "What's first on our menu?" "Sandwiches." Ellie cheered, unwrapping one and taking a big bite, her little hands smeared with jam. Mary couldn't help but laugh, the carefree giggles of the afternoon melting her worries just a tad. Her father sat across from them, studying both of them, an expression of quiet admiration playing on his face. "You look just like she did at that age, you know. Always getting jam everywhere," he chided, a glimmer of nostalgia sweeping over him. Mary glanced at him, and for the first time, she saw a bridge being built between them. The laughter they had once shared in faded memories began to sprout, hinting at reconnection. Yeah, the kitchen was a disaster zone. Mary replied, warmth creeping into her tone. You had to clean up after me every time I made a sandwich. Seems I'm still cleaning up after you, he joked lightly, his voice full of genuine warmth, just like how she remembered it. Ellie giggled, breaking the tension that had just begun to thaw in the air. It felt almost natural, this banter. Mary's heart fluttered with cautious hope, but it wasn't enough yet. They still had the shadow of the past looming, and she could hear her mother's message calling from the back of her mind. As they settled into easy conversation, a buzz pierced through the contentment, pulling Mary back toward reality. Do you think your mom is going to talk to me soon? Her father asked, his eyes dropping a fraction, the vulnerability palpable. Yes, but Mary faltered, feeling the burden of her mother's message pressing down. We need to tread carefully, Dad. This is still new for us. Believe me, Mary, he assured her, earnestness filling his voice. I know I've made mistakes. I'm ready to earn your trust back, and that takes time. I just wish I could also earn Ellie's. At the mention of her daughter, Mary felt her chest tighten again. Ellie is brave, but she's still processing all this, Dad. It's up to you to show her you're committed. Her father nodded solemnly, and for once she saw a reflection of guilt that seemed genuine. The spark of laughter from Ellie as she sprawled over the blanket softened the air again. Yet Mary knew their chat was just the precursor. They could be laughing now, but the elephant in the room wouldn't vanish without confrontation. Can I have a turn? Ellie asked, breaking off a piece of her sandwich, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath them. Mary's heart warmed. You're a busy little bee today, aren't you? Her father smiled softly, his gaze lingering on his granddaughter's youthful agility. You have a lot of energy, kiddo. I admire that, he said, and she beamed at him. Watching their exchange left Mary feeling conflicted. She wanted to believe in this newfound connection. Still, the thought of facing her mother's message gnawed at her. Hey, Ellie, Mary said, trying to change the subject. How about we talk about what you want to do for your next birthday party? Yes. That sounds amazing. Ellie cheered, eyes lighting up with the possibility of planning. For a moment, it felt like just another outing, the fears blurring into the background. They brainstormed everything from cupcakes to games, and Mary didn't notice the passing time until the sun hung low in the sky. But the time had come. Mom? Ellie said. You okay? You're looking at me funny. Mary took a breath, glancing at her father, then back to Ellie. I am, sweetheart. I wanted to ask if we could talk about something important too. The joy faded slightly from Ellie's face. Is this about Grandpa? Yes, it is. Mary saw her father's eyes widen with anticipation, mixed with a hint of fear. Ellie, this has been a big day for you. How do you feel about Grandpa so far? Ellie scrunched her face slightly, searching for honesty. He's nice, but I'm scared, Mom. What if he leaves again like before? The question hung thick in the air, and Mary felt a pang of recognition. I understand, love. Trust is hard, isn't it? It is, Ellie agreed, holding her juice box tighter. Her father, who had been silent until now, leaned in. Ellie, I know I haven't been there for you. I left when I shouldn't have, and I wish I could take that back. But I promise I'm not going anywhere this time. I want to be a grandpa to you. What if you forget again? Ellie pressed, vulnerability flickering in her eyes. Then I'll prove I'm not going to forget, he replied earnestly. It's time I take that responsibility. I want to earn your trust back, one moment at a time. Not just today, but every day moving forward. Mary held her breath, her heart racing as she anxiously awaited Ellie's reaction. Would her daughter see the sincerity? What if you really mean it? Ellie asked, squinching up her little nose. Then are you going to be, like, my real grandpa? Her father nodded, a small smile spreading across his face, pure softness mixed with relief. Absolutely. I'll be here every step of the way, starting right now. Mary let out a breath she didn't realize she had been holding. Ellie looked at her, then back at her grandfather, as if weighing their words with the seriousness only a child's innocence could muster. After another moment of silence, Ellie removed the juice box from her lips and said, "Okay. Then let us start fresh. Let us play." Laughter erupted in the air, cutting through the weight that had settled around them like a blanket. Spirits lifted with each passing second, and they spent the rest of the day playing, laughing, and creating new memories that would weave hope into the fabric of their lives. As the sun began to set, casting orange and pink glows across the sky, Mary glanced at her father and Ellie. They had begun to cross the bridge from the past into a colorful present, the fears of history slightly dimmed by their willingness to move forward. And as they packed up to head home, Mary felt lighter, too, understanding that each moment mattered, that they could shift into something extraordinary together. Then, she thought of her mother's message and how it fit into this delicate balance. She knew soon they would have to confront the past, but for now, Mary surrendered to the warmth of family, letting it fill her with hope like the vibrant colors stretching across the evening sky. As they walked toward the car, hand in hand, Mary realized that light had a way of finding the cracks, and perhaps today was just a stepping stone to an even brighter future. And with that thought, she felt a renewed sense of determination to fight for the family they were creating, a family filled with trust, love, and laughter. Today mattered, tomorrow would matter even more, and together they would navigate whatever storms lay ahead. As they drove home, Mary couldn't help but smile. Something magical was taking root within their hearts. And somewhere deep inside, she finally believed that this was just the beginning of their journey. Now, the call to action: if you want to keep following uplifting stories like this, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel. This is the moment to show your support and leave a like to feed the algorithm. Comment right below with your feelings about the ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who truly need to see this transformation. Your support matters more than you know.